Welcome back to Good Morning Enablement, and welcome to this episode. Whether you're watching through LinkedIn or YouTube, please would you like and subscribe so that we can create more episodes for you to watch. This episode, I am very passionate about the subject matter, as I have hopefully helped a ton of people in my career to do this transition. It's all about how do we make the move from individual contributor to manager. And so myself personally, having led teams for over 20 years, sales teams and then sales enablement teams, I'm very excited to share my experience and give you all some solid steps to help you make your move from individual contributor to manager. My name is Maria White. I'm a co-founder of Good Morning Enablement and the owner of Enablement Dojo. I have previously built and led high-performing sales teams in EMEA and North America and enablement teams globally in some organizations I hope you've heard of, Oracle, HP, HPE, ServiceNow, Twilio, and Cornerstone On Demand. So now that's me getting to know you a little bit. If you want to paste in the comments who you are, that would be awesome. But let's get into it. And let me try and help you on your journey if you're trying to go from an individual contributor to a manager. And if not, and you can give this advice to someone else, I hope it's useful. So let's begin. So have you ever felt like you've mastered your own role, yet you're still waiting, for your next opportunity? You know you're doing great work, you're hitting your goals, but when you look around you, you see all these other people being promoted, but it doesn't seem like you are being promoted. They're leading teams, they're making decisions, and you ask yourself that very big question, hey, why aren't I getting promoted? Why not me? Very, very common. So the truth is, moving from an individual contributor to a manager isn't just about working harder. It's really about shifting your mindset. It's about going from me to we. And I know that might sound strange, but it's obvious. It's like the biggest mistake that most people make is thinking that being great at your job, it just automatically qualifies you to lead others. It doesn't. Because, leadership isn't a promotion, it's a responsibility. You're responsible for other people, their careers, what's going on, helping them to be successful. And those who understand this principle really do rise faster, lead stronger, and create real impact. So how do you do it? Let's talk about that. So step one, first of all, you need to start thinking like a leader before you are one. You have to mentally put yourself into those shoes of a leader before you become one. Because managers aren't chosen because they want the job title, and sometimes not even because they want the money. They're often chosen because they're already demonstrating leadership in their individual contributor role. And you don't need any permission to lead. You can start leading today without having the title. What does that look like to start leading today when you're in an IC role? Well, firstly, you can speak up in meetings. Being heard in the meetings lets everyone around you recognize your voice and your point of view, and they'll start thinking a little differently about your contribution when you do that. You could take the initiative on projects, look beyond, that's not my job, and start taking on projects, initiatives. Raise your hand for other projects that are in other departments or even in your own department. Look beyond your own tasks and, also think about, how can I help the team? Could I do a training for some of my team members? Raise your hand. How can I do something for the company? Can I be a mentor? Can I help in job interviews? Is there anything I could do for the customer? Although these things are outside of your individual contributor job role, they really are starting to show you showing up as a leader if you choose to do them. So leaders don't, contrary to belief, probably, leaders don't wait to be told what to do. They see a problem and they solve it. And they anticipate challenges before they arise. And more importantly, they leverage their skills to help others to succeed. So this is a really good number one, okay? Think like a leader before you are one. So start being the person that people turn to for guidance, and leadership will find you. Okay, let's get on to step number two. Step number 2, the art of influence. Sounds dodgy, doesn't it? But it isn't. We all do that. We hear that word so often now in the world of TikTok and YouTube. I'm an influencer, I'm a content creator. So the art of influence in your own organization when you're trying to move from an IC into a manager. Let's think about that for a moment. Management isn't always about authority. I would say like in the 50s, perhaps it was, to be fair, oh, that's the manager, you must do what they say or something bad's going to happen. Not today. Today, management isn't about authority 100%. It's about influence. If people only follow you because they have to, you're not leading, you're just enforcing the rules. Now, influence comes from trust, and it comes from showing up consistently, driving results, and being someone others want to follow or inspire to be like. So having people want to follow you and want to work from you is the outcome of influence, which means that you've built some trust. So you take a moment and ask yourself, like today, as you're thinking about moving into a leadership role, do your colleagues respect your opinion? These are hard questions to ask, but you have to, you must know already if they do or they don't. Do they come to you for advice? That's an easy one. Do people come to you for advice? Do you make people around you feel more inspired or feel better about what they're doing, the project, the task, the initiative? If the answer is no, don't worry. This is still a skill you can build. Start by listening more than you speak. I will tell you honestly, when I was new in management, I thought I always had to be the one to speak, and I was wrong. Franklin Covey's leadership taught me all about that early on in my career, thank goodness. But you don't need to always speak up. You need to listen. And then by listening, you can ask great questions. And when you can do that, when people need help, even before it's needed because you've listened. So, as an example, you're listening to a dialogue between two colleagues, and I'll use, bogus names like Sarah was saying that she was having trouble with an Excel spreadsheet. One of your superpowers is Excel spreadsheet mastery. Well, because you've listened and you didn't, say anything while they were talking, you can now raise your hand and say, could you be of assistance to help with that Excel task that she's working on? That is, people will then start coming to you and asking other questions. So offer help before it's needed, and always, always follow through on what you say you're going to do. Now, when I was leading sales teams before I was leading enablement teams, one of the things that I used to coach into my sellers was, under promise and over deliver. And I think that this stands true here. What does that really mean? Don't tell someone I'm going to come and help you on Monday and then speak to them on the Wednesday, because you've overpromised and underdelivered. It should be something like, I'll send you that email on Tuesday and you send it to them on Monday. That means that you've, underpromised and overdelivered. And people will remember that. People will remember that you did exactly what you said when you said you were going to do it, or before, and they're going to remember that. So when people believe in you, they will choose to follow you even before you have the title. And that recaps on the art of influence. Okay, number 3, learn to think bigger. You've probably heard the terms and the phrases, the bigger picture. So when you think about one particular function that you do in your job role, how does that fit into everyone else's job role? That's thinking, that's big picture thinking. So as an individual contributor, 9 out of 10 times, your job is just to execute. But as a leader, your job is to see that bigger picture. This means understanding the company goals, not just your own. It means asking questions like, why does this project matter? Who does it impact in the business? Who has to be involved? Leaders have to connect the dots. They align their work with the bigger mission, like cascading goals, if you will. So one way to practice this is to start thinking like your manager. And I'm sure you could always ask, your manager to become a mentor or a coach, because you could tell them you're aspiring to go into another role. And I'm absolutely certain, your manager will help you. So start thinking like a manager. What problems are they currently solving? What pressures do they face? How can you make their job easier? One question that I, even as, a vice president, I would ask my leaders or even my stakeholders, which were CROs, etc., would be something like, is there anything I can do to assist you with that? Can I help? Just those simple words, can I help? You'll believe it or not, a lot of people don't like asking for help. And just the volunteer of offering, you'll be shocked at how many people will lean in to take you up on your offer of assistance. So the more that you think at a higher level, the more valuable you become. And before long, you won't just be seen as a great employee, you'll be seen as leadership material. That's really important about the transition from IC to manager. Do people in the organization, not only in your sphere of influence, but in other business units, do they see you showing up as a leader? And that's the quick recap on learning to think bigger. Number 4, develop others. You might be thinking, hold on, I have so much to do in my own job. How can I do that? Well, firstly, anytime your manager asks you to cross train someone in something that you know very well, that is you developing others. But great managers aren't focused on their own success. I mean, maybe there are some that are, but the greatest gift, I think, all the time I've been in leadership is, how can I develop and grow others? How can I help them do the best work of their career? And how can I help drive them towards their career goals? That has always been my mantra. So developing others is a very key part of showing up as a leader before you become one. So great managers aren't focused on their own success. They're focused on making others successful. So if you want to move up, start lifting up others. Sounds simple, right? But teach them what you know. Mentor some junior colleagues or some interns. Celebrate other people's wins. You'll be amazed at how much a peer-to-peer email will really, really, make someone feel amazing about the hard work they just put in. So celebrate other people's success. That's what great managers do. They're always looking to celebrate the successes of the individuals and of the team. Just think about this for a moment. Who are the best leaders that you've worked with? Giving you a pause to think about it. Well, the chances are they weren't the ones who just did great work. They were probably the ones who brought out the best in you. And sometimes, you might think your leader's putting a ton of pressure on you and stretching your skills. And if they're doing that, they are trying to show you just how great you are and getting you to step into that best version of yourself. I bet you can think of 1 or 2 right now who have done that for you. Management is about multiplying talent, allowing others to become a force multiplier in the team. If you can prove that you can help others, companies are always going to take notice. Your manager's going to take notice. The people around you are going to take notice. You're going to be called upon to be selected for projects. I'm sure you've seen that in the organization you work for now. Let's call it Joe Bloggs. Joe Bloggs got picked again for that global project. Joe Bloggs got picked again to stand and speak at, a town council or whatever. So that happens because they're showing up as a leader already and people are taking notice. And because the best investments that any company can make is in its people, that's why you have to make sure that you develop others because you want to, you choose to, because you want to lead. If that's not something you want to do, develop others, leadership probably isn't for you. If it's about, making yourself the big, the high, the mighty, leadership might not be for you, because leadership really is a huge responsibility, looking after other people's career and well-being in an organization and bringing out the best in the individual and leading and driving a team who need to believe in you and trust you to make that happen. Well, that's number 4, developing others. So the final one here is very interesting. The amount of people in that I have had, career conversations with, whether they're direct reports or 2, 3 lines down, it's fascinated me when they just never told anyone that they were interested in a role or in promotion. So number 5 is straightforward. It's ask for the opportunity. A surprising number of people never get promoted simply because they didn't ask or they didn't show to leadership that they were even interested. And I've seen that a lot in my career. So if you've been demonstrating leadership and building influence with others, thinking big and developing others, maybe it's time to have that conversation with your boss. Maybe it's time to have the conversation with your manager, your leader. Just maybe you're thinking, how do I do that though? That's a really hard topic for me to talk about. So you could just go to your manager and say, I really love the work I do, but I'm ready for more. I want to take on more responsibility. What skills do I need to develop to take on a leadership role? Simple as that. Really simple as that. You're acknowledging that you love what you're doing, so you're not asking to leave. You're acknowledging that you're ready to grow, not asking to leave. And you're saying, what can I do to get to that next level? And number 4, you're saying, how do I take the opportunity myself to develop myself to get ready for those opportunities? So this does two things. Firstly, it shows ambition. It shows that you're ready to move forward by taking the initiative to ask. And number 2, it's helping open a doorway to feedback. Now, some people embrace feedback, others do not. And I'm just gonna, I hadn't intended to, but it's an impromptu moment for me to just add this in because I think it'll really help. Earlier on in my career, I took, constructive feedback, or criticism as it used to be called back in the day, constructive criticism, very harshly. It felt like a personal slight on my, on my spirit, on my soul. Why are they saying this to me? And then as I grew as an IC and then eventually became into a manager, I was afforded many, many opportunities to train, to be a leader, how to be a leader, how to show up as a leader. And in multiple of those training courses, I recognized, so we're talking many, many years ago, 15, 17 years ago, I recognized that feedback is the greatest gift someone can give you if it's going to help you develop into a better human being or into a better worker, however you want to apply it. So to me now, feedback is a kiss on the cheek, even if I don't agree with it. And that's okay too. It's okay to get feedback and not agree with it. Just don't react to it. Just absorb it as the kiss on a cheek. And it's like, just remember, this person is telling me this to help me to grow, and it's their perception. It's their perception of how I need to grow. So get ready, because maybe you're already ready. Maybe you need to refine a skill. Either way, now you're going to have a roadmap. I'll just recap on that. Number 1, asking that you want to grow and go into leadership shows that you have ambition. And secondly, it opens your door to get tacit feedback from the people who's leading you. And promotions don't happen in the dark, by the way. When decision makers know your aspirations, they'll look for opportunities for you to step up. It's as simple as that. You have to put your hand up and say you're interested and you want to move forward before anyone will start considering you when a new opportunity arises. So let's just recap. You want to go from IC into a manager role. I've outlined for you 5 steps, and I will put a guide, a link in the description. It might not show up straight away when the video launches, but normally within 48 hours, there will be a link in the description with the download that you can go and download. So the 5 things, let's just do a recap. Think like a leader before you are one. The art of influencing, understand, how you show up is going to influence the people around you, and building trust helps to build influence. Think bigger picture. Think about how what you do impacts the company and others around you, and develop others. Be that coach to a fellow employee or individual. And number 5, last but not least, just recapping, ask for the opportunity. Tell people you're interested in doing that. So in closing, the impact of leadership. The transition from an individual contributor to a manager isn't just about career growth, in my humble opinion. It's about the impact you can make once you're a leader. When you lead, you don't achieve for yourself. You create opportunities for others. You help to shape cultures, and you definitely drive business forward. So here's the thing. Why are you waiting for permission? Don't wait for permission. Start leading today. Make it part of the way that you show up. Now, leadership isn't given, it's earned. And if you start now, the next time a promotion is on the table, they won't have to look very far because they'll already know it's you that's ready. And that's it. That concludes my little session on trying to make the move from individual contributor to manager. I really hope you have, taken one or two golden nuggets from this. As mentioned, a guide will be put in the description. It's been my pleasure to share this journey with you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing any comments or connecting with any of you in the future. Have a fantastic rest of the day with whatever you're doing. Cheers.